Thrall, Azeroth's world shaman and orc warchief of the Horde. Ghazghkull Thraka, prophet of the Warg and orc warlord of the Goth clan. These two great orc leaders give their blood, sweat, and tears to bring about a better world. They just have very different definitions of that. While one strives for peace and balance, the other wants nothing more than to crush it all underfoot. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick, and it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Goel was a young orc. Despite this, battle was all he knew. Not uncommon for an orc, but what was uncommon was the story behind him. His parents, while working to stop the warlock Gul'dan, were assassinated, leaving Goel to die in the wild. Fortunately, or unfortunately as Goel might feel, this wasn't the case. He was found by Aedelas Blackmoor, the overseer of the internment camp set up following the Second War. You see, on this world, Azeroth, there were two major factions, the Steadfast Alliance and the Monstrous Horde. With the Alliance emerging from the Second War victorious, many members of the Orcish Horde had been enslaved and forced into internment camps to work away under human supervision. Aedelas would dub the child as Thrall, a human word for slave, and kept him as a gladiator, forcing him into combat for the entertainment of those working at the camp. Luckily for Thrall, he was a big dude even by orc standards, and was molded into a massive warrior by his captors. Still though, they'd beat him down, even killing another orc in front of him. But this suffering moved Thrall, and one night he would escape the camp with the aid of a human friend. After a lot of soul-searching and meeting with other orcs, including being chosen to be the companion of the Frostwolf Snowsong, Thrall would undergo a spiritual transformation. Attuning to the elements, Thrall became the first shaman ever since Gul'dan's corruption. The spirits had finally made peace with the orcs, and Thrall would be destined for greatness. As a shaman, Thrall has all sorts of magic. He could throw fire and lightning, heal people, summon elementals, and enhance his strength and speed. That's not all. He can turn into a wolf spirit, view distant locations, control the earth, winds, and water, create mystic protective totems, transfer his consciousness into stone to form avatars, and even return himself and others from death. Not surprising then that, sure enough, greatness would find him. Approached by the warchief of the Horde, Orgrim Doomhammer, the pair would stage liberations on countless internment camps across the Eastern Kingdoms. That was until Orgrim was fatally wounded in one such battle. In his dying moments, Orgrim would appoint Thrall the new warchief, and bestow him with his legendary namesake weapon, Doomhammer. With his newfound authority, Thrall led an attack on Aedelas' fortress, killing his former captor after finding out he had killed his old friend Teretha. With orcs now spread out across the Eastern Kingdom, Thrall thought the fighting was over. That was until he received a vision of warning from the sage Medivh, urging him to rally the scattered clans and travel west to Kalimdor, where orcs would finally find salvation. He'd do just that, even making new allies along the way for his ever-growing horde, like the Trolls and the Tauren. Once arriving in Kalimdor with his newfound allies, the Horde would enter its golden age, starting in the city Thrall founded, Orgrimmar, named after Orgrim. Thrall would become a legend across all of Azeroth, and the Horde would welcome countless new members. Despite all his warrior heritage, he truly did want peace on Azeroth for all races. In some ways, the Horde is more accepting than the Alliances. Thrall would also find himself wrapped up in countless world-shaking events. A demon invasion, the emergence of an old god, another demon invasion, the rise of the undead scourge, and more. But through it all, Thrall truly sought peace with the Alliance, a peace that always seemed out of reach. Eventually, Thrall would take a step back from leadership, passing the mantle down and focusing on his shamanistic endeavors. This spiritual retirement wouldn't last long though, as a truly cataclysmic event would unfurl. The emergence of Deathwing, a long-corrupt dragon demigod here to bring about the end of the world. With the planet shaken to its core, Thrall had no choice but to rejoin the fight. While he was outmatched against the dragon, he never stopped pushing. Even when Deathwing put the weight of the planet on him, he just powered through that. Thrall would work with the other great dragons of the world, and he was so powerful that the others considered him a suitable replacement for the spot Deathwing once held. As part of their quest, a fighting force of adventurers working with Thrall would even take down Ragnaros the Fire Lord, and Thralls would be way stronger than those guys. Impressive given even lesser elementals can destroy planets and keep up with attacks made from pure light, and Ragnaros puts those sorts of elementals to shame. No surprise then that, with the help of the other dragon aspects, Thrall would land the final blow on Deathwing, sending him down to the depths and finally ending the cataclysms. Through it all, Thrall would always strive for peace and harmony. Despite his hulking frame and warrior background, he was a hero through and through. You can't always judge a book by its cover, and Thrall stands as a testament to that fact. For if there ever comes a time the world finds itself thrown into the jaws of chaos once more, Thrall will always rise, and Thrall will always fight.
You made me what I am! No. You chose your own destiny.
In the 41st millennium, a grim darkness has gripped the galaxy. Factions rage in constant war across the stars, with depraved technology and weaponry you couldn't even begin to fathom. The Empire of Mankind, the Insectoid Tyranids, the Dark Necrons, and more. With so many players on the stage, some are bound to slip through the cracks. This is the position that the Orcs found themselves in. So they were cunningly brutal and brutally cunning, but they were largely disorganized. They'd surge out in a wartide and rampage across star systems, but most of the superpowers viewed these as mere setbacks. The Orcs, while a destructive nuisance, were never a serious threat. That was until the emergence of a great Orc prophet, Ghazghkull Mag Uruk Saraka. Originally nothing more than a common warrior, during a particularly nasty battle, Ghazghkull would have half his brains blown out. But Orcs are insanely tough. Gaz was staggered but still standing, physically holding his brains in with just his hands. Orc physiology is fascinating. They're actually essentially a type of highly advanced fungal life form, despite what appearances may indicate. Because of this, they reproduce via spores, and can survive an obscene amount of punishment. You can tear them to pieces and they'll live on, and can even get up good as new if they're stitched together, even being able to survive as just a head. Gaz himself has survived his head being deconstructed, his blood drained, and his heart being pummeled, crushed, and electrocuted. It's a good thing Orcs don't feel pain. They do still, however, notice when half their brain is missing. As such, Gaz will get patched up by Mad Doc Gratsnick, outfitted with newfangled bionics. Following this medical miracle, Gaz would receive a revelation from the Orc gods, Gork and Mork. Gaz was to be their chosen prophet, uniting all of the Orcs in the galaxy into one massive wartide, one that the galaxy would tremble before. A battle so legendary that Gork and Mork themselves would join. And Gaz would get to work quickly on that, immediately tearing apart the local boss and fighting against other Orcs for an hour straight without receiving much more than a scratch. Thus would begin Gaz's legendary conquest, or in Orc culture, what's known as a Wog. Orc Wogs are frankly batshit insane. You see, Orcs actually emit a minor psychic field, always letting them instinctively know who the strongest among them is, and giving them all a leader to follow, no matter when or where. This effectively means if you're fighting Gaz, he's got a whole army behind him, psychically linked to him, including his personal Gretchen companion, Makari. To make matters worse, these psychic fields have minor reality warping capabilities. If an idea or notion is ingrained enough in Orc culture and knowledge, the sheer bloodlust on display in a Wog can psionically manifest this idea, even if it really shouldn't be possible. This is most prevalent in the fact that their vehicles really have no right to work, but work all the same. My personal favorite, Orcs paint their vehicles red because they think red makes them go faster, and then they do! There are entire cults of Orcs dedicated to painting themselves red to go faster. Speaking of their vehicles, the Orc army is more than just a feral force. While the boys serve as infantry foot soldiers, vehicles like the Killrig and Dragster provide the cavalry. Blaster jets and Death Copters give aerial support, while massive mechs like the Gorkanaut and Morkanaut level battlefields. Warbikes, trucks, blitzer bombers, snaz wagons, mega knobs, they all look like they're about to fall apart at the seams, but they're viciously effective, all overseen and managed by bosses like Ghazghkull, Snickrot, and of course, Ghazghkull himself. All of these get overshadowed on the field by the Colossal Stomper, a 30-meter tall titanic mech armed with death cannons, super gatlas, super rockets, and enough firepower to match an army. Even their spaceships are ramshackle, like one of their biggest creations, rocks. Rocks are barely ships, and are giant asteroids, mechanized and converted by the orcs into propelled battle stations, which they often use as one-way entry pods by ramming into the surface of planets they're invading. Gaz himself is no slouch either. Thanks to his mega armor, he stands at 4 meters tall, easily big enough to crush most enemies underfoot. And if that doesn't work, Gaz has— let me handle this one, Wiz. Gaz has weapons like Gork's Roar, a devastating 4-barreled cannon that can blow his foes away, and Gork's Claw, a massive clawed gauntlet that can tear through any matter thanks to a disruption field. He's also packing stick bombs, powerful throwable explosives to blast stuff to smithereens. That's a lot of different ways of saying he can kill real good. But boy can he! He can go toe-to-toe with plenty of heavy hitters, and was even able to take down a bloodthirster daemon, one of which survived this planet exploding on top of it. Oh yeah, and after doing that, Gaz then closed the dimensional rift by headbutting it, then proceeded to crash the entire ship he was on into a planet with enough force to shake the whole world. This dude is crazy! Handy when Gaz constantly finds himself at war with the Imperium of Man, constantly clashing with Commissar Yarrick, a human who even Gaz could respect the prowess of as a worthy rival. And that says something given how on your feet you need to be in the 41st millennium, when even things like basic Necron troops can sub-atomize guys in power armor, and basically everyone can keep up with lightspeed laser weaponry. So, it stands as a testament to Ghazghkull's might that he still remains one of the most legendary figures in the galaxy, a true terror who brought orcs from a nuisance to a genuine threat to all. The prophet of the gods who one day will consume all in an ever-churning warg. No more peace, just the endless thrill of battle. That is the utopia that Ghazghkull, that all orcs, strive for.
The Beast of Armageddon, the Conqueror of Messina, Golgotha, and lots of other places besides. The Great Prophet, the Big Three, the goppiest gop, the stabbiest stabber, the fightiest, hardest warlord, what was ever been ever, and that is a very long time. And don't you forget it.
Alright, we've gotten so set. We've run the data through all possibilities. It's time for a death battle!
Your reign is over. The Horde bows to no one.
Then you will break. Use your weak scum. Only good to peel off boots. Is all destiny for all worlds to bear.
Then your destiny ends here.
We'll smash your city to scrap. Grit on and die like a real orc.
I'm more of an orc than you'll ever be. Doomhammer is not yours to wield!
Dumb!
Stay, girl.
You know how to fight. But all is death to anything that walks.
cunninger orc! Or is the killier orc! And who is the better orc? So what are you? The better man. Look, Taro, guard! For the Horde! I'm the prophet of Gork and Mork, the prophet of the law itself. I speak with the word of the gods, and I say I's got a stump of you good, and the rest of this universe flat. Yeah! Taro Gar, perhaps you don't understand our tongue. Victory! Or death! Or crush, or kill, and you is get smashed the same as it all! You said victory or death, yeah? Well, you is dead, swear! I's gonna take you all on again! See through my eyes. See enlightenment. We will not fall on this day. Glory to the Horde!
KO! But the cannons! And the mechs! And they had motorcycles! This was a fascinating matchup to look into, and an extremely hectic one at that. Though, in the end, Thrall had the tools to pull through. Starting with the basics, both were evenly matched in a bunch of categories. For instance, both could contend with planetary levels of power, with Gaz taking down greater daemons capable of surviving exploding planets, and Thrall being well above elementals capable of destroying worlds. Speed was a similar story, with both capable of keeping up with light speed attacks. So, with their strength and speed virtually equal, it came down to what they brought to the table with their abilities. At first you might think Thrall's array of magic spells far exceeds the versatility of Gaz, and you'd possibly be right. While it does eclipse everything Gaz personally has, it's important to remember Gaz has his whole freaking army psychically following him wherever he goes. Such an immense force would potentially overwhelm Thrall, but he's level-headed enough to keep his cool, and has ways around the number disadvantage. He could summon elementals for backup that should be comparable in power to his own abilities, and has spells with wide areas like Earthquake that could devastate much of the Orc force, which he'd definitely be smart enough in battle to use given his experiences in mass combat. Besides, it's not like all the Orcs are as strong as Gaz himself. Other than things like the Stomper and other high-end mechs, Thrall can tear through the Orcs pretty easily, with Gaz being the real threat. So how'd he fare here? Well, Gaz alone does have a limited arsenal compared to Thrall. While his weapons are devastating, they didn't have much in the way of variety, compared to the versatility Thrall had with his elemental and spiritual powers. And surprisingly, despite how insane Orc healing is, Thrall's is more useful in the fight. Orcs can survive being deconstructed, having their heart crushed, being decapitated, and more, but they still generally need to be put back together afterwards. Thrall, meanwhile, was free to heal himself as much as he wanted with his spells, and could even come back from death. Yeah, any damage Gaz's forces inflicted on Thrall could be quickly undone, whereas any blow Thrall dealt would be a lasting one for the rest of the fight. While Gaz's claw disrupting solid matter would certainly have the potential to tear Thrall apart, the comparable speed combined with Thrall's wider arsenal meant Gaz wouldn't easily pin him down, and it still doesn't solve the self-resurrection issue. Finally, while Gaz could survive with nothing but a deconstructed head, Thrall's lightning and fire spells would be able to fully destroy Gaz's body, leaving nothing left and putting him down for good, especially given one of Thrall's go-to elements, lightning, would be conducted through Gaz's cybernetics and armor. So, Thrall's wide area spells could deal with the Orc army, while his elementals took on the larger mechs, and Thrall himself had everything he needed to beat down Gaz. Ghazghkull was a cunningly brutal foe, but the prophet of the Warg's firepower couldn't contend with Thrall's magical versatility, level-headed thinking, and death-defying healing. Ghazghkull thought this would be a walk in the park, but learned the hard way that it ain't easy being green. The winner is Thrall.
I did not like this ending much. I think's Noah bias. That's it all how it goes. Right, boys!
Oh yeah, boss. Noah's boy says it. Oh yeah, more never play Warhammer 40,000.
Please, no more kicking. I agree with Ghazghkull. I agree with the prophet of the war.
Guts, and I think you're full of it.